So over the last few days, a whole bunch of information has been going around for the Black Panther DLC, and as some of you guys are aware because we addressed it in the most recent video, there was this whole misconception that it was going to be like a 25-hour brand new gameplay that was coming with the Black Panther DLC. Now, long story short, that has been debunked, and the War for Wakanda expansion will actually reportedly be around 7 to 8 hours long, and it's actually the longest DLC to date that we've ever had for this game, which is actually quite interesting. But we got tons of stuff to break down in today's video, right down with the dev livestream that happened on Friday, where they had Christopher Judge, who, if you don't know, is the voice actor for Black Panther in this DLC, and well, there's just a whole bunch of information that got dropped there, which is really interesting. So before we dig into that, we got a really cool sponsor, so let's roll the ad and then we'll continue into the video. So today's video sponsor is Instant Gaming, and you guys know how much I love Instant Gaming. I literally use them for absolutely everything when it comes down to getting my PlayStation Network cards, renewing my memberships for PlayStation Plus, and just looking for games when I want to go ahead and make a shift and find something new. Now, they have unbeatable prices that you're seeing on screen for brand new games and old games as well, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. There is so much variety on the website when it comes down to video games, not just for the PlayStation, for Xbox as well, and Steam. And like I said, they do a whole bunch of other stuff like the gift cards, and it is just absolutely phenomenal. They've also got this section where you can see games that are trending, the top pre-orders and the best sellers. And if you're just in that predicament where you want to go ahead and just play a brand new game, Instant Gaming is your best friend, because they will give you all of that variety and those awesome games, and you will save a whole bunch of money. So go ahead, check them out. The link is in the description below. Alright, so to kick it off, the dev live streams, some of you guys know about it, some of you guys don't actually tune into it just because of time zones, etc. You can actually still catch up on the stream, I believe, when you go over to the Twitch page. But either way, they had Christopher Judge, who is indeed the voice actor for T'Challa in this DLC. Now, if you don't know, he did go ahead and say boy, which of course we went ahead and uploaded. Only some of you guys actually got it, but Christopher Judge is an incredible voice actor, and of course he done Kratos in God of War. Now, what's interesting is the information that we got for the Black Panther DLC specifically, as well as the character itself, is actually quite surprising. It genuinely kind of threw me off in a good way, but in a way that it's like, okay, I genuinely did not expect something along those lines. So what Christopher Judge did mention is that, first of all, he did refuse the role way back when he was asked to do so, because unfortunately, of course, of Chadwick Boseman's passing, he just didn't feel it was right to go ahead and actually do something like this, which I completely respect and can understand. But either way, he has come to the stage, and he did actually mention that he didn't need to do a lot of research for this role specifically, because he's been collecting comics since the 60s, and interestingly enough, this is what I thought's really key and element to this that really threw me off. He did say that he had to get into better shape to play the role, as he feels that he can better embody the character when he's closer to their size in actual real life. Now, apparently he has been recording for the role for the last year and a half, and his favourite moment was saying Wakanda forever. Now, the other person that was on this stream was Evan, who is essentially the writer for the stories, etc, and he went ahead and mentioned how his job was ultimately just to help where it was needed, whether it was to fill in the plot holes, or develop side stories, or build relationships between the characters. Now, in terms of shaping up the character, this is the really interesting part, because the T'Challa that players will see, and this is me just quoting what was said by the way, the T'Challa that players will see in Marvel's Avengers will be very different from the movies, and even quite different from the comics as well. This version of T'Challa is more arrogant and more aggressive, and is a lot older than how he's portrayed in the films. Now, in the DLC, it said that he's been the king of Wakanda for quite some time in the game. Now, Evan also shared details on the villain, which now we know, of course, is going to be Claw. that was of course one of those things like everyone kind of predicted right from the beginning. There was no leaks needed for that. But either way, Evan did state that in the game he's more of a scientist than your usual mercenary, and in terms of the Avengers themselves, their relationships and rivalries are explored, as it's mentioned that Tony Stark is jealous of the Wakandan tech and the intellect. So this is going to be one hell of a DLC. So again, kind of like cycling back to that first element on 7 to 8 hours long being their longest DLC yet. Also the fact that it's a complete new storyline. Whichever way we look at this is a brand new storyline, and it will literally just be built upon as time goes on. There's so many directions that I say you could take a DLC like this, but I think it's going to be interesting for a lot of people because it's not the T'Challa that we're used to seeing. It's going to have essentially a complete different take, but so far from what we've seen, at least the little snippets anyway, it does seem absolutely phenomenal. Now again, we're fingers crossed going to see way more of this stuff when it comes down to the deep dive, which fingers crossed, it's got to be first week of August now. I did actually predict that it could potentially be announced this week for maybe like the end of next week, but it's probably going to be first week of August, and we're probably going to give a DLC towards the end of August. Now, other stuff that's been going on with Marvel's Avengers is actually quite interesting, because they have been dealing with these, I guess, hero starter packs, right? And they've been doing things for like $6 where you can get 500 credits, you can get outfits for the characters, and there's a whole bunch as you'll be able to see on screen. Now this is an absolute steal. You guys know how I feel about the whole microtransaction element of things, should I say, sorry, but usually I'm against that stuff. But I mean, like when it comes down to getting in-game credits and the whole story with like suits and so forth, actually doing like a one-time payment of $10 actually isn't the worst. Like I genuinely actually think this is something good in some sort of weird way, because either way, everything we get for this game is free. I know people are just going to come completely at me and be like, no, this is still terrible, it's wrong, but I mean for $10 you genuinely can't complain at this stage. Now like I said, it's one of those optional things. I mean for me, I look more at like the whole getting the credits element of things, because that's one thing that genuinely just bugs me in this game. So again, just doing that payment of like $10 and kind of getting that big pack, or alternatively doing the $6 one on like your go-to hero. Again, it's kind of like a no-brainer, but ultimately it comes down to you guys. But like I said, you'll probably see it on screen, and that is now available in the game, which I think is pretty cool. So where do we stand now with the game? So like I said, this DLC, and I've been saying this for as long as I can remember now, this DLC honestly is the make it or break it for this game. This DLC cannot essentially go down as a fail and then they come out with like the Spider-Man DLC, because the Spider-Man DLC is a PlayStation exclusive, which means doing that is an absolute no-go, because your audience is going to be a whole lot less as opposed to what this Black Panther DLC is going to be. Everyone and anyone is going to play this DLC, whether you've played the game like in the last week, or whether you last played the game back in September last year. It's a DLC that's going to want to make you pick up the game and just trial it out, right? But again, my opinion is just as valid as yours, so we still got to wait and see what goes down. But guys, that's going to wrap up this video here. Definitely some super interesting information. Let me know what your thoughts on that stuff is in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, have yourselves a ridiculously amazing day, and until the next one, adios amigos.